Well, let me say this, first in your packet, you'll see that we included, what was given to you all last time in the packet that had the, proposal on the timeline, as well as all of our policies, job description, and, I think that's it. I think that's all that we included on that. I was asked to include this time and to go over, what it would look like if we gauge the interest inside the district. And so that's included, starting with tonight's meeting, and this work session, and how that would proceed, as well, through an internal Google document that, that we would send out the same way we did a survey. We did the internal survey that I think all of you all got. I'll kind of cover that here in a second. But if you'll turn to me, just the internal proposal sheet, and it's titled Director of Schools and Internal Interest Proposal, and it lists the dates and kind of how we would look at suggesting to you all February 7th tonight. February 8th, we would send a notice out. The 15th, we would close that, and I was asked, just a week. The belief is that Mr. Benson put his retirement notice in roughly a month ago. There's been 30 days. I'm sure it's made it around the world by now with the invention of the World Wide Web that we have open director's position. So internally, putting something out for a week wouldn't be unheard of internally.
So that would go out to everybody, basically in the district that want to express an interest in this?
We would try to limit that, Mr. Jones, to in the internal certified staff, but that's all that really would qualify.
Yeah, I know, so they would qualify, that's what I'm saying.
If they meet the qualifications on here that's set out in board policy,
Yeah.
that is correct. And part of the Google form that I've already drafted is a qualification sheet. I know you all will, probably Mr. Thacker does Google forms all the time, and you have that click on all three before it allows you to advance through. So and any other qualifications that you would choose, we can include that. Those would all be recorded, the responses be recorded, and then we would send those out. So, but we would try to limit that to licensed staff, and we close that on the 15th, send that, the responses, and that would all be prepared for the board meeting, so you all would have everything on March 14th. So that.
You're talking about the people that applied and was interested or whatever?
Correct. And
Not
then,
applied, interested.
I'm sorry,
Not applied to the job.
anybody that shows
Expressed an
interest, right,
interest.
would allow you all to talk with them. It'd give you roughly a month, if you so chose to do that. Then as we look
So
at,
we'll have a list. You're saying we'll have a list of who have applied before the 14th, before March 14th.
oh, absolutely, you'd have it on the 15th.
15%.
It would close on, we would close that on the 15th of February, and then we would send that out that evening. Any questions? I know y'all might have some as you think about it. Looking at the survey, and what kind of, the reasoning behind, this being suggested is, the survey which went out and the answers, and although, I think we have roughly 600 employees, and we had about 120 total responses to the survey. If you do the math on that, that's probably better than the voter turnout that we normally get in Wilson County. So, unfortunately, but and so the survey suggested that that the ones that completed it, that they would want us to look internally and keep things going the way it is. Although, let me say this, it's suggesting to you all, this is a board, this would be ultimately be a board decision. These are only suggestions, And, when we go into session, into a board meeting, that you would vote on a timeline, I think that we've already set out to get this going, because I'll remind you that, 45 days prior to the election in August, we would have to appoint a board member. I mean, we'd have to appoint a director of schools because there was a board member running in that election. If you didn't appoint 45 days prior, you have to wait for 30 days after the election. And the reason is, election can be contested
What day would that be?
for up to 30 days. We're somewhere around mid-June. I'll get you an exact date, Mr. Packer. I think I looked, and it was somewhere around, when I counted backwards, around June 20th, I believe, for that August election.
So we have to make a decision by then, right?
Correct. And those are 45 days,
But we would want to
not
make a
business
decision.
days.
I think we would wanna make a decision before then, because we're gonna have somebody come in here and work with Mr. Benson.
Sure.
This is Steve Jones talking. I'd like to have somebody in here to work with him, maybe 30, 45 days to learn all the ropes of the operation and everything like that. So I think we need to be appointed probably, that's my opinion on it, sometime in May, not May, April, probably, that we need to make an appointment. And if it so happens, and somebody in our system was chosen, and there being a principal, that person needs to be, a new principal needs to be assigned there, so the kids don't leave school on May 31st or whatever it is, not knowing who their principal's gonna be the next year. So that would give ample time to do that.
Yes, sir. And to your point, if you would look at the, proposed procedures that we handed out last board meeting that's in there, it lays out that, almost that exact timeline that we would look at the very latest, establishing a contract, because that is how you hire. So we just don't name somebody and everything's good. They actually have to be contracted, with that specific start date, which I would agree, Mr. Jones, I don't think it would be in the district's best interest for Mr. Benson to retire on the last day of June and the new director start on the first day of July, and we never have any transition time. And selfishly, I would like more than 30 days if we could.
Well, this is Steve Jones' opinion, and I've been here a long time, longer than all of y'all, most before you were born, probably. I'm a big advocate, and Scott will tell you this, that I like to promote within, because if you don't promote within, what incentive does that give these people that's got the capabilities of doing the job to even work harder? So, and I think that they should be given the opportunity first. Then, if they don't have, we may not have nobody apply, you don't ever know. I wouldn't have it, if I had an opportunity to do it, of course, I don't have the education to do it anyway, but it's a hard job. And there's superintendent vacancies all over the state of Tennessee, you know, but, that's just my opinion, and I like to promote within if we find the capable people to do the job. And I think it would be easier on the whole school system, because they can, they know that person probably, I know they'll know them if they're in the system, and they can, what I'd like to see happen, this is what I'd like to see happen.
Mr. Jones, in an effort to take myself out of your discussion, I'm gonna have a seat and you three can discuss.
Well, and.
Unless you have any questions, I'll be
But-
here to answer any questions,
Thank you, Mike, appreciate it.
and you all can discuss it.
What I would like to see is an easy, smooth transition, and the only thing that I would like to see happen is change the name on the door, and you hand him your keys, and he starts to work. Instead of going through, and we may have to do that, instead of going outside. Now, this is my opinion on it, I'm voicing it, y'all, that's what this work session is for. So, that's what I would like to do. And I've been here a long time, and I think that's, would be the best thing for the school system. Now, if y'all think otherwise, that's y'all's priority, and we'll do whatever y'all wanna do. but that's my opinion.
Well, I've got the same opinion. I've always had the thoughts of promoting within a company, which, you know, this is basically a company. Because you promote somebody within, they already know a lot of the ropes, they already know a lot of the employees that they're gonna be working with. And it just seems to make a smoother transition.
And you know, we're not gonna make everybody happy. It don't make any difference what you do. Half people's gonna be happy, half people are gonna be unhappy, you know. I'm probably unhappier today than I've been in a long time, because I had a wreck this morning, so. But it's not got nothing to do with this, but, that's my opinion, so, and that's my goal. Sure.
I'd like to get my time in here a little bit. Go ahead and get this. A little preparation on some things. Previous copy. Thank you. Got two. Y'all, one copy, y'all. Get one later. Just want to start a conversation here. That's the one thing that I did when I came on this board. I communicated with all of you, and I worked with all of you very upfront. First, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. My main focus as an elected official on this board is to get answers, and I did. I was elected by the people, and those people, I will be held accountable. My intent through this whole process and this search, which you gentlemen have talked about, is to find our next director of schools. That being said, as we're here sitting like this, Scott, I thought we could ask you some questions because you are the director of schools, and that would where we pull and give us some different ideas. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Scott, when hiring a principal for Lebanon Special, do you take internal and external applications for these positions?
I've done it both ways.
When you generally hire for a principal, do you take internal and external? That's my question.
Okay. Again, I'm trying to answer.
Well,
this.
right now, currently, 4 of our principals out of the 7 were external candidates. Is that correct? And I know they are because I looked it up.
Yeah, I count that on.
Okay, so half of the principals that we have right now were external candidates. So those candidates, gentlemen, we would not even got them if we would not looked at external candidates. So, my next question. I want to look at this, and this is really important. As you look also at your resignation letters, guys, this is something I want to see. If you look, and it's actually on the front page, guys, if you want to turn to that. The second paragraph, the first sentence, it says this: "It's been a great privilege and honor to serve the district as a principal, assistant director, and especially as director of schools." The part I want to focus, you started as a principal, correct, right?
In this district, yes.
Okay. Were you an external or external candidate?
At the time, external.
How many years did you hold your position as a principal and then as assistant director? How many years were you before you took this position that you're in right now? Was it
6 to 7.
6 to 7? 6 to 7. My question is, as a board, as we look, Mark and Steve, internal candidates, we have a director of school that was here 6 to 7 years. Are we gonna tier this now, where you look at people who have been here 30 years, are they gonna have more weight? When we look at an internal candidate, I don't care, I want the best candidate, whoever it is, internal or external. And I think everybody in this room would agree with that. I got to meet with all the principals, got to meet with you, Becky, you, Pam, and the thing about this, external or internal, I want the best candidate to fill your role. And I think you do too, just like we do a principal. It's almost a double standard. I mean, we're saying with principals, we can hire internal or external, but then when we come to superintendent, which is the highest position that we have, we're only gonna look at internal candidates first? Okay, this is it. My main reason that I'm talking about here is my 2 fellow board members that they just stated, they think the best way to hire our highest position that we have is different than what we have for our principals, guys.
Well, we don't hire the principals.
We don't hire them.
That's not our job.
No, but the same
It's his
standard,
job.
I understand, that's exactly right. As a school board, we do policy, procedure, and we hire superintendent, that's our only job. So we're gonna say we're gonna have a different standard than Scott has for hiring a principal?
That's my standards, in my opinion.
Okay.
I have seen lots of companies
Yeah,
hire people, you know, if their company's here in Tennessee and they hire somebody from another state, another county, whatever,
right.
and it is a grumble among the employees when that happens. Because nobody with inside had the first chance at it.
Hmm. You think those principals, when they were hired externally, they had grumblings in with that?
Yes, I know for a fact. Even with some of Scott's hires,
Okay,
there were some, and I know that for a fact.
okay. Chairman Steve Jones, it makes my only sense for me that we'd open this process with both internal and external director of schools, that's my opinion. The next question I have for you, Scott, and this is very important to me. Did you approach the principal of one of our schools to encourage them to apply for your position?
No,
You did?
no.
Okay, that's fine.
Have I had conversations with principals about it? Yes.
Did you have conversations with all 7 principals about it, or just one?
Actually, it's been more than one.
Okay.
But I did not approach any principal to encourage them.
Okay, let's move on. Let me give you a little bit of background here for my question, and I'm here to really try to communicate. This is a conversation that I'm trying to have with everybody in this room.
I would have also had conversations with people in his office.
Okay.
But didn't.
That's fine,
approach them.
I appreciate you answering that.
Yeah.
A little background before we answer this question. This is where it's gonna get into a folder and the things that we have right here, the different emails. After January 10th, when Scott turned his retirement letter, I, as a board member, realized the task that we had in front of us. I've stated many times our main focus is to create policy and procedure and hire directors of schools. And after that meeting, I emailed Scott, and you remember this, asking you for the names and emails of all the principals. Because you gotta remember, I was on the board 12 years ago, so all the principals we have are new, and I didn't know any of them. I met with all 7 principals. I also met with Becky and Pam in the central office. I also reached out to meet with Jamie Farrow, which represents my zone in the county school board. The main reason I reached out was, I know that the county just went through the same process, and you guys know about it too. And I wanted to get her knowledge, because they went through the process, I thought it would be great. As you can see here in this email, I like to read it. It says, "Good evening, Mark and Steve. I met with Jamie Farrow from the county last week. She gave me some great tips and ideas. Attached are the questions and process from the county. I wanted to share to both of you before the February 7th meeting." That's where we are right now. Thanks, Joel. Then you turn to the next page, and Ms. Farrow was so kind, and I thank her for that, for sharing all the questions that they had for the director of schools, and in the process on what they went through that. You know, we're going through this process, it's not used to reinventing the wheel, so I'm always willing to learn from other people. That's what I'm here, guys. I'm here as an elected official to learn, you know. All that was great, this is all good information, but let me mark this. I never received a comment from Steve or Mark on this email whatsoever. Just let that be known.
Well, I had no reason to come.
Well, just listen. After meeting with all the principals, I completed a form. So if you turn to the next page, this is another thing. I sent you all to this, actually what I had 4 questions that I went, and I sent that to all the principals to let them know, and I got their response. Great informations in that process, and I also sent that to you all too, on January 27th, and I would like to read that email. Good afternoon, Steve and Mark. I will report back to you both about the meetings I had LSSD administration last couple of weeks. It was great to meet with our principals and learn more of our administration. The one thing all of them agreed upon, the board would be transparent during the process and allow those in our community to have input. I hope this information is helpful, and we are truly blessed in our system. Sincerely, Joel Thacker. Again, all great information, and I didn't get a comment from either one of you on that one too. Maybe, like you said, it wasn't necessary, but that's fine, I didn't get a comment, it was nothing. The interesting thing, during this interview process, that came to, in this part of the search for me as a director of schools, is there needs to be a third party to do our search for Lebanon Special. The reason that I'm saying this, when I was talking to the principals, all 7 of them, I got a mixed message. Okay, I actually physically went and talked to all of those. Did you all talk to all 7 of them?
I'm talking, I talked to some principals.
How many
not all
principals did you
seven,
talk to?
Not all 7.
You can talk to any of them.
I talked to one. 2. I'm taking that 2.
Like I said, I got mixed message. One told me that one principal had called all the other principals to tell them they were applying for the position. Another thought that the board was just gonna appoint this person, that we were just gonna appoint them, whoever that
Well, I've
was.
never put that message out.
I know, I'm just telling you, this is things that I've got from the, I know the principals. Then come to find out, we had 2 other principals that were actually interested in the position, but they weren't sure they could apply for it because they thought it was already taken.
Well, I think with what we're gonna be putting out, tomorrow, taking, resumes or whatever, that's gonna say, it's open to all of them.
Well, this is what I told all the principals. I told them this was gonna be an open process and everyone that qualifies would have a chance for this position. That's what I told them. Steve, I now see that the Tennessee School Board Association is our only way to have a true transparency process for Lebanon Special. When I started, it wasn't, but now I feel that it is. Then on February 1st, you can turn to the next page, you can follow the email trail. Scott sent us the survey back. Scott, I appreciate what you all did. And had some good response on that, and I appreciate all the information and all the response that we got back from all the people in our system. I really appreciate that. But I wanted to hear from the community too. I wanted to hear from the parents. Because it's not just the teachers and administration, it's also the community, it's the voters out there, and I wanted to hear from them. Then on February 1st, we received an email from Scott about the survey and questions. That was great. And here's a copy of all that, you have that. And then, on February 2nd, this is my 3rd email corresponding towards tonight. You gotta remember, all these emails are building up for the February 7th meeting, because I'm actually preparing. I'm actually meeting with principals, getting prepared, communicating. I'm a communicator. I love to talk to people. I enjoy talking with everybody that I met. It was great. I said, thanks, Scott. I've already printed it out. That's all the sheet. I'm attaching a link that I'm placing on the appearance of LSSD. I want to get some community input before our February 7th meeting. Joel Thacker.
We did respond to that.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did too. As I mentioned in the 2 previous emails, I didn't get anything. On this 3rd one, something triggered. In 5 minutes, Steve, I got an email from you. You turn the page, and actually there's a copy of the survey too in here, if you'd like to look at that. Pretty easy. It's like, what is your role associated with LSD? How many children do you have? Overall, what's your satisfaction? Let you know, Scott, no one put very dissatisfied at all, so. Like I said, in 5 minutes after I sent this email, which I had known previously, I got an email from Steve that says, I don't agree with you on this. Steve Jones.
I'm gonna have the right to do that.
I didn't say you did, Steve. But as I mentioned, no response from the previous, and all of a sudden I get this one, and then 5 minutes later, after you sent that, I get a text from you saying, can we talk? And I said, yes. Scott, could you give me a summary of that conversation?
No. If you wanna summarize it, you can.
Why not?
That was a conversation between you and me.
What's what's wrong with that conversation? How do you, I mean, I'm just asking, because this is,
I'm
you
just
got,
telling
you
you,
got,
I'm not going to.
why? Because this is a parent site, so you gotta remember, the site that we're looking at, it's called Parents of LSSD, there's 2,500 people on there.
Social media.
It's social media, but you have a monitor on there. There's a lady, when I had to apply for the position to get on there, she actually had to accept me. So when I posted this on their site, she actually had to approve this before it went on there. So they have a moderator. So it's not like an open site like on Facebook where you can just type whatever you want. Well, I'm sorry you don't remember the conversation or
I
anything.
didn't say I remember.
I'm very disappointed on the things that Scott expressed in this conversation. And we have over 2,500 parents on that page. And if there's a way I can communicate with parents, I will, because that's what I was elected to do. And I had a good response. If you look at the top 40 things on that webpage, all positive things, all positive. There's no garbage at all. Finally, February 3rd, I got your response, Mark. Joel, I have reviewed your survey for the parents of LSSD website. I do not agree with putting this out on social media. I personally never see anything good from social media platform. With this type of survey, you cannot tell who is responding. In other words, you don't know if they live in the district or even if they have children or not. You are constantly saying you want to be transparent. I think that LSSD has always been very upfront and open with everything we do. And I am not a social media person, and I never see anything good come from it. This is only my opinion. But you can go ahead and do what you want is best. Well, you know what I want best, Mark? I want what's best for
The
the
same
district.
thing I want.
I want what's best for the
The
district.
same thing that we all want. We just go about it in different ways. I am not a social media person. I think Facebook it just is problems. It's what's wrong with our world now, is social media.
And you was talking about us not responding on the other two, Joel, and I'm gonna tell you why. We would be discussing stuff between you, Mark, all of us in emails and stuff, and that's against the Sunshine Law.
So you get-
I have also talked to some principals,
Yeah.
but I didn't send you an email telling you anything about it.
Well, I mean, I didn't get a thank you, hello, thanks, or thanks for getting the research, but it's funny how I sent this last email, and all of a sudden I triggered something, and I got emails from all of y'all, and a call. Listen, I got a response, and I know what you guys were telling me, okay?
If you'll notice, it was quite a while before I responded, because I have to wait and think about things before I respond.
Okay. Well, my feeling after I did all this search is you all must have a plan to hire a director of schools without a thorough vetting process. That's what I feel. Listen, Becky gave me this book right here. Thank you, Becky. I actually read the whole book. It's really good. It's called Ways of the Shepherd. And I actually read it, and there's actually an insert, and I'll give it back to you right now, but it's underlined, and I promise I did not underline it in the book. We actually had it underlined. It says, great leaders install a sense of meaning and belonging in their followers by putting their personal imprint of who they are and why they stand for on their people. As a leader, my imprint, you know what my imprint's gonna be? It's gonna be honesty, integrity, transparency, and a vision for our district.
I do.
And my voice will be heard. And you know what? I will be here the next 4 years. And I will hire the best candidate for this position, internal or external. And that's how I feel. After this work session, we'll have our board meeting. We'll go through the motion. We'll take a vote on how we want to proceed with this process and move forward. I've done my homework, guys. I've done my job. I now will base my opinion and my vote on this information that I've given you. Thanks. Excuse me.
Well, in my opinion,
Yeah.
by looking internally, we are doing the right thing to start with, and if we don't have an internal person that we feel can fill Scott's shoes, then we look externally. Because we've got a lot of qualified people already in our system.
Gentlemen, if I may, and again, Charles' decision at board meeting, but I will point out that we don't create our own policies, and it gives us two options to do a search, however we choose to do a search, internal, external, together, separate, it doesn't lay out. But TSBA list on line 33, which I assume Mark and Steve would say that's where they're getting their idea from. However, the board may hire an existing employee, the director of the district as the director of schools without conducting a search for other candidates. And so it gives you those two options. You can do internal, external, however you want to do it, or you can just name somebody without even doing a search. So I just wanted to remind that before the work session ended. I know we got other people coming in, but y'all can adjourn the work session and go into a board meeting at 5 o'clock, or keep talking all the way to 5 o'clock, but we have to start the board meeting at 5, because that's where it's posted.
Well, what I would like to see us do is, I'll voice my opinion to the board meeting to make some kind of decision. I would hope that somebody has a little, hope, trust me, I've been here 34 years, so, I think we've got a very transparent school system, and I don't think that we've had any problem. Matter of fact, this is the first time since we've been in this new building for once that we've had 2 news people here, right, Scott? Since do you remember anything? So, what does that tell you? So, we're not having any problem. We've got a good board, and we've got good people. We've got some of the best teachers in the world, some of the best principals in the world. So, we can hire somebody, like some other systems, it's hard, and I'm not gonna say who, but I know of several, and they can come here and clean house, cause they got the authority to do such. We don't have the authority to come in here and fire Kurtz or Becky or whoever. The only person we can fire is him, the only person we can fire, or her. So, I think that we need to take a lot of that into consideration and give the, like I said, maybe nobody wants to apply for it, or whatever. But if they don't, then we don't put it up to everybody, but, then they still can apply too, if they want to after we've done it. So, that's what I think, y'all thinking that we totally different from mine, that's my opinion. So, you don't have anything else, if not, we'll adjourn this board, this work session and go into a regular session at 5 o'clock. Y'all have anything?
Yes, sir.